Welcome to the LivOverjoyed Show, designed to help you navigate life and business to take positive action to live your dreams. This series focuses on how to leave your unsatisfying job to pursue your passions. And today's guest has done just that. April Sciacchitano is co-founder of Mix+Shine Marketing and co-host of the Corporate Dropout podcast. April helps healthcare, nutrition, and hospitality businesses grow and get new customers. April is a planner at heart and a trained facilitator for Google Design Sprints. Outside of work, she's capturing amazing spots for food and drink as a Google local guide and chasing a toddler at the beach. Welcome, April.
Hey, Amy, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is one of my favorite topics.
Yes, and I love how you and your friend Rachel started your business over margaritas. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of wild stories that come out of margaritas. Ours is that we started a business. So this was back in 2014. And, I'm very fortunate that my business partner and I, we had the chance to work together for 2 years before we actually started our business. So, you get into that rhythm of working with someone and just kind of really getting each other and each other's strengths. And one day after work, we were like, let's go get a margarita, chips and queso, having a great time. And then we just kind of said, what if we started our own business? What if we just did this on our own? And, you think, is it the margarita talking? So it turns out the next day over a different beverage, coffee in the morning, I was like, hey, are you serious? Because I could be serious if you're serious. And so what's crazy is as soon as that we had that conversation, in our minds, there was just never any question that it would happen. So, it took several months of, going to the coffee shop at 6 a.m. before, our 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. And making sure that we were doing the legwork so that we were ready to make the jump.
Yeah, so you took some sacrifices on time, squeezing in, adding it before your workday and probably afterwards to get your plan in order.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's something we hear so often is people aren't sure, well, when do I make the jump? How do I know that it's the right timing, right? And I think that I'll say I'm someone who waited a little too long. When you're in your other job, you have so many obligations that you want to fulfill, that you want to follow through. And the truth is when you leave, you will leave something behind. It's never going to tie up in a bow really neatly. So just something to keep in mind as you kind of figure that balance out. But I would say there's a couple things you do want in place. First, financially, you want to have somewhere to land. So you should have some client lined up or some big prospect that is maybe just about to, pull the trigger and hire you, right? So you want to have some income stream in place so that you're not jumping into a
black
completely from zero kind of proposition.
So would you recommend that they kind of side hustle a little bit to get the momentum going and then?
Yep, exactly. So side hustle a little bit and get your foundations right. When you leave, you don't want to show up to your new business that you own on Monday, not feeling like you have any momentum. Mm-hmm. So it's about momentum building, and it is hard to have one foot on each side. But the truth is you will know, because the closer you get to launching your business and really taking off, it gets a little painful to be at your corporate job. And that sense, that kind of dissatisfaction, I think a lot of people read as they're lost in their career, or, maybe they just need to go start over at this other thing, that kind of thing. It's like that dissatisfaction is very much a part of the process of becoming an entrepreneur sometimes. So it's okay if you feel that way about your job today. It just means that you're out there, you got to keep your eyes open for the right opportunity.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think that you waited too long?
Ooh, okay. Well, that's a very good question. There was a lot of work waiting for me on the other side after, leaving the corporate world.
Right.
And it was probably something that, 4 weeks earlier, 6 weeks earlier, wouldn't have made the biggest difference to my employer, but maybe would have made a big difference for me to make that transition a little more smoothly into owning a business.
Yeah, and you talk about putting that trust in that, and you can still plan. And I think a lot of people feel that they can't be an entrepreneur because they're a little more conservative and maybe not as big of a risk taker. And you
Yes,
that
that
there
is
are
so
lots of
true.
opportunities for people who aren't necessarily huge risk takers.
Yes, exactly. I'm a big planner. Like at heart, I love it. It is what makes me feel confident about moving forward. And the truth is we're presented with this image of entrepreneurs sometimes that is very like, you know, kind of like this hotshot risk taker kind of persona, right? And sure, there are times when you're going to take a risk, but I think overall, as entrepreneurs, we're planners, we're cautious, we're about mitigating risk, so we are going to be careful. So I think it's important to rethink who an entrepreneur is, because more of us fit in this category than you would think. And when you get it stuck in your head that it's supposed to be some kind of way, then it prevents you from really seeing yourself in that role. Something else that, once you, as a planner, you go through the process of being like, and I launch my business, and then this happens, and then this happens. And the truth is you can't predict everything. And the one thing that surprised me in launching our business is that I could not have predicted is how much people in my network showed up. So as soon as I was, out in the open as an entrepreneur, people came from all parts of my career saying, "Oh, let me send you this business. Oh, that's so exciting." It's a life change, like, going to school or getting married or having a baby. You launch a business and people are excited for you and they want to help. So I would say that was the number one factor in year one of my business that I didn't see coming, because I was ready to scrap and not make any money at all.
Right.
And as it turns out, we got lots of referrals and we did a lot better than expected. So leave room for that which you cannot plan.
That's so amazing. And I think too, don't be afraid to ask, because more people
Right.
are willing to help and see you succeed than you may realize. So,
Yeah, that's so true. And I think early in your business, it's very easy to basically decide, I will take any work, even if it's, not my ideal client, even if it's a little outside of my comfort zone. I just need to make sure I make money, right? But the truth is your friends, your colleagues from the past, that kind of thing, they don't know what to send you if you're not clear about what you do best. So it is really important to articulate what you're looking for and show people the way, like show them how they can help you. Um, and I'll be honest, this is something I struggled with for a really long time, because we always, we always tell each other, in business, like the niche is really where it's at. You have to focus down. You have to really hone in on this one category and be an expert there. And as entrepreneurs, like we like new. We are multi-interested, multi-passionate people. And that's a hard thing to ask for us to niche down and focus, because we see opportunity everywhere. So this is how I finally got around that thinking and finally focused in my business. I learned that ultimately what's happening is you're telling people the door to come in to meet you. You're not telling them everything about yourself. It's not your bio, it's not something that's comprehensive. You're never in a couple paragraphs going to capture everything you're good at and everything you're passionate about. So think of your niche as honing down and giving people a door to walk through. And once they walk through it, yeah, of course you are multi-interested, multi-passionate, and you can do all kinds of things, but you have to let them meet you first. And so when I think about niching down, that's how I think about it, in order to get past the, ooh, but wait, that doesn't quite capture it kind of feeling.
right. Yeah. I mean, I've been told that if you market to everybody, you market to nobody. So that niche is really,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is really true. And I think even to get specific about that, it was in like at my agency job, I focused almost exclusively on healthcare.
Mhm.
And starting my business was a way to break out from that and to try new things. So I think that was part of my resistance early on is I've already lived in the niche and I want to be a little more free, right?
Right.
So I've worked on all kinds of like national women's running groups, home renovators, like a lot of different categories of businesses. But the truth is, 6 years later, I've come back around. My LinkedIn bio today says that I focus on healthcare and nutrition and helping people get more customers through the door. So I've decided that, yes, I can focus on that niche. And within that niche, I can do all kinds of things. And the truth is not all of my clients are related to nutrition, but that's the door that I'm telling people to come in through right now.
When you decided to take that move, what kind of advice do you give people to make that decision to determine when it's time for them to take the leap?
Oh, it's so scary, right?
Yeah.
Like it's it's a terrifying leap. And I think it's important to just kind of acknowledge that, like, yeah, it's supposed to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as you can set yourself up for success, part of this transition is trusting yourself and saying, when I go out there, I am going to catch myself on the fall, you know? So I would say, like, focus on what you know about yourself as an expert. You are so much more qualified than you give yourself credit for. And the part of you that wants to be an entrepreneur knows that already. It's just a matter of making sure that you have, I don't know, whatever mantras in place that you need to believe it. And the truth is have a community too. This is one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur that people don't tell you. You're going to go from going to a work day every day and seeing people and having a routine in place to all of a sudden everything's pulled out from under you. You are working from home, and I know in the age of COVID, we've all figured out that that's not easy sometimes, to keep yourself.
You have family or other distractions at home.
Exactly. Yes. So that when people paint their dream situation, often it doesn't include going to a corporate office every day, right? But that said, this other situation as an entrepreneur isn't without its challenges too. So one of the best things that I've done was to find a community of people who are like-minded entrepreneurs. Some of them are in different industries. Some of them are in the same industry. And we choose to collaborate, not to compete. And I think that part of that is because we are such a support system for one another. And by working together, we all own our own businesses, but we still work together. Somebody can go on vacation and not feel like they have to be plugged into email all the time. So even if you don't know who your ecosystem is today, just know that that has to be part of your journey as an entrepreneur, is being connected.
Well, and you can partner with, or, they may have strengths that you may not, or you may not have the bandwidth at that time to handle. So it is to have those collaborators.
Yes, absolutely. And, we've all had that conversation or that kind of place where it's like you're in a funk, but then you get off the phone with somebody and you're like, oh, okay, I got this, right? Yeah. So you need those people, and you need it to be people who get business, because I'm sure that, like, this or that friend could give you a pep talk, but talking to somebody who's been there, like, there's nothing like that, right? So that's also part of why we started our podcast, The Corporate Dropout, is we knew as business owners, we had each other because we're business partners, but other people who are out there solo, they're just in need of this, like, point of recognition of someone who's, like, on that grind too. So that's also part of why we started the podcast.
Yeah, it's almost like a mastermind, so to speak. You can really share each other's experiences and pick up and learn from each other, which is nice.
Yes, I'm so glad. Well, thank you for saying that. That is the goal there. I have found it's become kind of my, like, DIY MBA.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's been kind of cool. And we just launched our Facebook group too. So I hope
Awesome.
you pop in there because we're
Yeah.
doing live videos just like these.
Awesome.
Actually, we should do one.
Yeah, we should.
Let's plan on it. That'd be great.
Now, you've interviewed quite a few different entrepreneurs on the
Yeah.
Corporate Dropout podcast.
Hmm.
Who would you say are some who stuck out, or what are some of the tips that were shared that you think are helpful for people who are listening?
Oh, yeah. So one of my favorite interviews is actually, I have a particular interest in people who are just in a different industry because, as marketers, we talk to each other a lot, but to hear from someone who, for example, Diana Yin, she's the owner of a restaurant called Poppy and Rose. It's in Los Angeles, and it was named to Yelp's 100 top brunch spots in the US.
Oh,
So she recently sold her business since our interview. But something super interesting she talked about is how she made hires and how in 1 minute she knew if someone was going to, be employed like by her. So that was kind of incredible to me. So to dig into that was really cool.
what
So
did you look for in that 1 minute? Was it just a feeling, or the way that they carried themselves?
yeah, so in the 1 minute, what she looked for was a quality that you are eager to please. And so when she asks that first question in an interview, she basically would look for, are you searching for the best answer you can find right now because you want to give me the right answer, you know? So I thought that was interesting because like it's very telling, right? Like,
Yeah.
are they just responding in the moment, or are they going, okay, and like do you see it, you can like physically see someone wanting to give you the right answer, right? So that's how she makes hires in just 1 minute. So cool.
It's interesting. Now, do you have some people underneath you, or do you contract out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the decision to hire is definitely very different depending on the industry, right? In a lot of industries it's very like you have to in order to grow. In marketing, I think what we're seeing is there's there's just a whole generation of very skilled people who want more freedom in their day.
Yep.
And so for that reason, we have a lot of subcontractors. What's really awesome is that by working with them, not only are we doing great work for our clients, but they're able to have the freedom to live how they want to live. Like right now, we have someone who lives in an RV and travels with her husband to different jobs for his work. And she's able to carry on and work. There's somebody else we work with who lives on a mountain, like a ski resort in Idaho.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so, we have calls with her and her backdrop is amazing. But the amazing thing is we can work from anywhere. And I think that, our generation is going to leverage that. I really do believe that. And I think that's happening more and more often.
For sure.
Yeah. Plus, COVID has people, getting a little antsy and looking around and thinking, I think maybe I want to do something on my own. I think that, going back to the normal workday maybe isn't for me. So I'm hearing a lot of bubbling up from people about what's ahead for them, which is cool.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have kind of reevaluated or reflected on what they like and what they want to do with their life. It's kind of nice to have us slow down a little bit, to take that time
Yeah.
to search within a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Now, another important thing with entrepreneurship is how do you determine your pricing?
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a tough one, especially because, when you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of context, like you might know like what, when I worked at a big agency, I knew what my hourly rate was, but I knew as a smaller business that it wasn't going to be anything like that. Right. So something that, well, first of all, you have to talk about money. It's not gauche. It's something that is really important in your business is to, have those people in your industry that you're comfortable with, that you mastermind with in some way, that kind of thing. Your rates are going to change with the economy. So, when business is slow, you may take something for half your normal rate because you just have to keep your business going, right? And there are projects that you will want for the experience, and you might do those for free, or you might do them for a nonprofit. But the important thing is to price it so that you don't resent the work. And so pay attention to how you feel about a certain rate, and whether you feel like I'm doing a favor, because there are no favors in business. They paid for it and they get it, right? So don't in the back of your mind say that anything is a favor. And if it does feel that way, then it sounds like you need to raise your rates.
Right.
Something that I think is super important that I advise clients on are when you are selling services, it's very easy to say, well, it's this much per hour. And because you want it to be clear, right? You want it to be clear. However, maybe that's a little too cut and dry, because what that does is it puts you at the center of what you're offering. It says, my time is worth this much, and for 1 hour, this is what you pay for. Think about what that looks like if you flip it around, right? So if you flip it around and you put your customer at the center of an offering, you wouldn't say it costs $250 for 1 hour of my time. You would instead say, in order to get your brand messaging right, assess your social media strategy, and give you action items so that you're clear on what needs to happen next to grow your business, you and I will meet for a 1 hour session. And by the end of it, you're going to feel confident in all those categories. In just that way, I still said the same thing, right? It's the same price, it's the same time, but I'm putting the customer first in terms of what are they going to leave with. So when you're pricing, that's just something to think about.
Yeah, your framework and messaging around it really changes the perspective on that entirely.
Yeah, exactly. And there is, when people start doing the math to figure out like, okay, so for this much time, you're this much per hour. Right. Well, I don't like, that's not my rate per hour. They automatically start to second guess.
Right.
If you instead focus on the value and what they leave with, they don't care if it takes you 20 minutes. If they get that outcome, that's what they came for.
Focus on the outcomes.
Yes.
I like that. Anything else you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, let's see. We covered so much ground.
Good.
It went by so fast.
Good. Well,
yeah.
I think you were going to offer a little gift to the participants.
Yes. Okay, so I'm excited about this one. I'm going to send the link to you guys following this broadcast. You guys can go download it. It's basically just an action item list of things you can do to start growing your business. And you don't have to do them in any particular order. It's really just kind of a blackout bingo card. And any given day, you could go in there and say, I have taken a step toward growing my business. Something that I have noticed in my business is the more my to-do list looks like update website, go in and fix the formatting and blah, blah, blah. Anytime my to-do list looks like that, I'm not in a growth mindset. Mm-hmm. When my business is about to grow, what you see on my to-do list are names of people. So this is all about living in connectedness. When your business is connected, you can grow. When it's disconnected, then you're static. So I very often tell people to, push to that launch, because the launch gets you connected with people. And that's the hugest difference that it can make for your business is incredible. So that is what the downloadable will be about, and help you find new and better ways to connect.
I like it. And it gives you some different perspective, and also makes you feel like you accomplished something where you can physically check something off.
Oh my gosh. Totally. There's a certain satisfaction in that, isn't there?
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, we really appreciate all your insight, and I'm excited to hear more about Mix+Shine and listen to more podcasts on the Corporate Dropout podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Amy, for having me. And definitely give us a follow over at Mix+Shine PR on Instagram. Come hit us up, chat, ask questions. We're here for you guys.
Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye.